Hey folks, we are just getting everyone to come in. We're just going to give it a couple moments to let everyone come in. So I'm just going to put it on pause and then we'll wait for just people to come in as they are getting more and more people coming in. We have so far 15. Just going to give it a few moments. Okay, we got a full house, almost 40 people and people still coming in. Yusuf, hello, Annette, Katrina, Mazen, Michelle, Peter, Shannon. We've got some more people coming in. Paulo, um, Aristide, Sadie. We've got some more people. Renee, everyone's coming in. So we're just going to give it a couple minutes as people, actually not a couple minutes, maybe just 60 seconds. So thank you again for coming in. The reason why I'm doing this again is because we were having some Zoom issues before. And I heard that people can see the computer screen with the development. So as people are coming in, a little bit about myself. My name is Brian. I wrote this book, Investing in Condominiums. It's in bookstores right now. It's a top seller on Amazon. And for for pre-construction developments in particular, I do a lot of sales for them, and builders invite me in to do what's called platinum sales for it. And it's usually before the plans and pricing comes out, and they give us a heads up saying, Brian, this is the date that we're going to be launching. And they usually give us allocations of units before they start giving it out to other agents and to the public. And what happens is that the builders take worksheets from us. They then allocate us the units for particular purchasers. And you go and you sign for it. And in COVID, it's usually electronic signing that you would be doing this. I don't know if the sales center is going to be complete for Brightwater by the time they do this first release. So my goal with this webinar is to go through the development with you, go through the process to buy, to increase your chances of getting a unit. And I'm not saying that flippantly. There are over 1,000 people that have registered with me, just me alone, for Brightwater. And there's only going to be 200 units that are going to be released in the beginning, and possibly of that 200, maybe 80 will be available for purchasers. So it's going to go really quickly. So a little bit about the development. Brightwater is over 70 acres south of Lakeshore between Mississauga Road and Pine. And because the land comes out a bit, a lot of the development will have really great lake views. There's going to be 500 towns, 2,500 condo units. And you can see right here, this is going into what I was saying. Not just south is going to have lake views like they do in Toronto, because the land comes out far like this and it's all residential here. Every building will have some sort of lake views, even the ones that are just on Lakeshore right here. You can see that I will clearly have it because JC Saddington Park's not going away, and the builders building towns here, and there's houses here. So amazing thing about it, if you like water views, this is definitely the place to be in Mississauga. If we look, it's also going to have over 300,000 square feet of retail space. So there's going to be standalone buildings like these, but the first two levels of every tower is going to be for non-residential units. Now, the first two towers that are coming up are this one here and this one here. So when we're looking at things, just note that this is the first tower that's coming up, so you get an idea of where the views are going to be or where the buildings can be positioned. So that's the first two buildings that are going for site plan approval right now. And you can see here, they've done some really cool stuff with red brick, making it more pedestrian friendly. Here's the podium of the units that are the buildings coming up. They built art sculptures here that double as benches so people could use fountains. The reason why they're doing all this is that they found with developments, all builders are required to build public spaces like this. But if you build it, and this is in Cooksville right now, if you build it and it's just empty space with just a bench, no one's going to be there. You have to mix the uses. So having retail and shops, having activity areas, having artwork so people could be there is what is important to make an area really vibrant. And when there's areas more vibrant, people want to be there. When a lot of people are there, it's more safe, it's more fun, and the values go up, which is important for investing because this thing is going to be built in 40 years. You want it to be a good investment. So we could see here, here's a typical town that's coming up. This is actually not one full unit. It's actually a town that is divided into four. So there's a lower stack here, an upper stack here. So it's not one full property. It's actually a bigger structure than that. The scale is not easy to see in this video, but it's what's called a stack town. And you can see here more of the public space that has activity space for people. So they have gigantic chess pieces, table tennis, fountains. They have this playground here that has sculptures that kids could actually play in. In total, about 20 acres full of public space. And going back into the first two levels of being non-residential, the restaurants, you could imagine schools, you could imagine like really professional offices. But the more things that you mix into the area, the more reasons for people to want to be there, the more vibrant it's going to be. And it's going to be year round. You can imagine here, they'll do like the Distillery District Christmas market. They'll have festivals and everything else. And even more amazing is that walking distance from all points of every development in this master plan will have access to a beach. How many condos could you say that really, not just in Mississauga, but in Toronto? It's not very many. So if we look here, according to Google Maps, from Lakeshore to the Waterfront Trail is 550 meters away. So that's a 7-minute walk from Lakeshore. So at all points, it will be a destination that will have easy access to the lake. So this actually highlights a little bit more about the first two buildings that are going to be coming up. And let me get my pen out here. So these are the first two that are be coming up. We have the C block and H block. That is 80 units here, 120 units here. Let me show you in the master plan. Bear with me. Let me just pull up that master plan. Just pulling up the master plan right here. And we have it. Now I'm going to just share the screen. Whoops, wrong one. This plan of subdivision. I clicked on it again. Okay, here we go. So the first two buildings, I'm gonna get my pen out. There's gonna be C block here. This is what they're going for site plan approval. Those, I see questions of people asking me which towns are coming up. It's gonna be the far western edge. We don't have a date for those. We're hearing that it's gonna be in the fall, but C block will have views of the lake here and here. And then north views, which is all residential there. So you'll see the treetops and everything else. And obviously the H block, which is angled to maximize lake views. Now, the big thing that people ask me at this point is, what do I expect the pricing to be? So I'm going to go through an analysis right now of what's been happening right now in the Port Credit area. So if we look at the price per square foot, Westport right now, with some of them have lake views, it's at $1,000 a square foot, and it's at the Tanu by the same builders at 998 a square foot. But if you look here, no units under 800,000. Over here, no units under $1 million. Let me show you what actually happened at Westport. So Westport, this is the reason why builders choose to work with me, is because I really take the time to prepare clients in advance for pricing to come out. And I don't want this to happen to you. Do you see all the units here? They had units even going down to $800,000 here, but they had a whole slew of units that were under 700,000. That's when it first launched. This is the prices the builder gave us as platinum agents. Flash forward to, they gave us this pricing on July 6th. 3 weeks later, this is all that's left at Westport. 800,000 was the cheapest, and we can look here, it's not the most desirable one because it's on a lower floor. Everything else that had views was over 800,000. And the reason why that happened is because there was just so much demand for units, especially under 650,000, that they sold within the first couple days. So if you were to get the plans and pricing and you wanted to spend your time, studying about the views, studying about the builder, studying about all of this stuff, our people would have done all that homework already. So at the point they're just ready to submit the order in for the unit. And by time those other people were ready that wanted to do all the due diligence, when they got the plans and pricing, everything was sold. So I don't want that happen to you. We want to study as much as we can so we get that out of the way. So the next question comes up is, who's the builder? Actually, taking a step back, we're still on pricing. So Westport was at $1,000 a square foot. There's a resale building here called the Regatta. It's ready at over $1,000 a square foot. What's special about the Regatta, it has great views of the lake because it's right on, just a little bit north of the water. It's a 16-year-old building and it's ready at over $1,000 a square foot. That means with $1,000 a square foot for not so great views north of Lakeshore, and south of for resale condos, $1,000 a square foot, that could put Brightwater at $1,100 to $1,200 to $1,300 a square foot for a really prime unit. $1,200 a square foot, $1,100 a square foot means 500 square feet is about $550,000. So we have to keep that in mind for budgeting. The next question that comes up from people is the deposit structure. Deposit structure hasn't been set yet, but what I've been noticing is that builders post the pandemic, because people need to budget, they've been doing this really spread out deposit structure. So it's 5% in 2021, 5% in 2020, 5% in 2022, and then nothing until the occupancy, which is 2024. Most developments that were coming out post the shutdown has been coming out with this deposit structure. However, we've been noticing that other developments, like for example, Canopy at here, Ontario and Eglinton, have been coming out with the more traditional deposit structure where they're essentially asking for 15% over 540 days. So I would be prepared for two scenarios: 15% of a deposit spread over 1 year, or 15% spread over the 3 years, which would be great. It's more expensive for builders to do these type of deposit structures. So I don't know if Brightwater is going to do it just based on the demand. They're still deciding. So it's either going to be this 5% per year or 5% over, it's going to be 15% over 1 year period, or 5% per year for the first 3 years. Next question comes up is the builder. So the builder, Stephen Diamond, he's going to be building the tower, or his company is. If we look, he's Newsmaker of the Year. He knows waterfront development really inside and out. He's the one who actually spotted irregularities in the Google deal and prevented Toronto from getting into a bad deal with Google because he was the chair of Waterfront Toronto. Really experienced developer. His family started Cadillac Fairview. And really, when governments need advice on redevelopments of this scale, he's really the guy to talk to. Another set of partners that you may know is the Kilmer Group. Kilmer, you might recognize this name, especially if you're a Leaf or Raptors fan. This is the largest minority owner, stakeholder of the lease after Bell and Rogers. So he's actually the face of the ownership. It's Larry Tannenbaum. Dream Dundee Real Estate Management is doing the commercial, and Fram is doing the low rise. And if you have any questions on that, let me know and I'll be able to help you out further. So I guess in a nutshell, what I'm saying is that it's going to be looking at about 1,200 per square foot. Be prepared for a deposit structure of 15% down, 20% down, where 15% of it's due in a year. Be prepared that the demand is going to be really crazy, just like Westport. Within 3 weeks, everything under 800,000 was sold. So what we did at Westport to be successful is that I had every client submit a worksheet with us. This is our website that we submit worksheets. So you just put Brightwater here, and I'm going to be sending you out this link. It's going to be Brightwater, and you just, because we don't have the suite choice, just put as much information as you can right here. Under $700,000 must have a lake view. And you could put the same choice 3 times. But if you're looking for example, under 600,000, doesn't matter what, because we know that there's not going to be many units in that price point. You could put that as a choice. You could put a second purchaser if you want. If you're an investor, I say if you're not sure, just put end users. If you want to buy a parking spot, parking typically is between 40 to 55,000 plus HST in Mississauga, so you have to budget for that. And it's not available for all units. Like for example, at Canopy, it wasn't available for the smaller units. It was just available for the bigger ones. For Artform that just came up, it wasn't available for anything under 600 square feet. And Westport, it was under 632 square feet can buy parking spots. So we have to be able to be mindful of what you're buying and if you need a parking spot. So submit the worksheet here. You do have to upload a picture of your driver's license or passport so the builder knows you're a real person. And I'm going to be sending this link out to everyone. Right now, I'm just going to go through some questions that we're getting from the people right now. So let's see here. Just pulling up the questions. And it's just taking a while to load. When are prices going to be coming out? Biggest question. We don't have a date yet. It's most likely going to be September. I've already seen some of the floor plans for the C block units. They're really good floor plans, so I think we have nothing to worry about the design. So I know they have the floor plans. I know the rendering companies are completed the rendering. So just a matter of just getting logistics and everything sorted out. But expect in September. And if you expect to get a unit right in the first 2 buildings and not submitting a worksheet, I think it's going to be really impossible. So submit the worksheet as soon as you can. Next question is, when are the townhomes going to be coming out? I think that was a little bit older. So the townhomes are going to be coming out in the fall. I'll give you more information when it will come out. The expected pricing, I don't have it. Really depends on the design. I have seen in Toronto for stacked product that is similar to this, but not as good location in terms of what they have. 2 bedrooms are going in the mid 700s and 3 bedrooms are going in the mid 800s. So that will give you an idea of pricing for stacked product. See some other questions here. When are the buildings closest to the water coming out? So the buildings closest to the water, if we look at the master plan again, it's a one here. It might be a few years, and imagine that each phase that the builder does, they're going to increase the pricing. So they start building these. What they know is that they're going to maximize, everyone wants this. This is the development that's going to be coming out when the area is almost complete. So it's going to be almost a finished product. The builders can be charging the highest pricing that they could on those ones. So if you're looking at this as an investment or place to live, a cool strategy that we're seeing is that people are buying in this first, and then as prices go up and the builders start raising the pricing on the additional units, they upgrade with that price growth projection. That's going to be price growth that's happening. So these units here, there's no timeline. It's really a market driven thing, and not just in terms of sales. So what builders do is that they get site plan approval. When they get site plan approval, they submit their costs out to tenders so they can lock in as much cost as possible. And when they lock in their costs, they know what pricing they could come out at. And when they know the pricing they could come out, they could start releasing the price list for people. So they're going to sell these first. They're going to sell this, 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 and then possibly this. This looks like their plan of what they're going to be doing. However, things could change. But just looking at what they're going for site plan approval and everything else, looks like they're starting with this and this first. Another question coming up. Weird, I got to take out the screen share to look at the question. I missed where the first buildings are going to be built. So the first buildings are going to be built right here. These are the first two buildings. C block, 80 units. H block, 220 units or 120 units. And for a total of 200. So if we look at if we look here, let me take off the pen. It's these buildings right here. This one right here, that one right there. If we look here, this building right here and that building right there. So it will have views of the lake as well. Again, sorry, I got to take up the screen share to ask questions. How many floors in the C block and the H building? So let me pull it up here. So they have a 6-story. C block is 6 stories. The podium for the H block is going to be 6 stories. The first 2 levels of the building are going to be retail. So there's not going to be much released in the C block. The first 2 levels of the podium are going to be retail, and then it goes up in the tower 14 stories. So 12 stories in total available for residential, and this one's going to have 4 stories available for residential. And weird, I got to take off the questions. Where would I be finding your link? I will be sending it to everyone as soon as the webinar is done. I'll also be posting this on YouTube, so you could share it with anyone or you could go through it. If you wanted to book a one-on-one with me, you could go to our link, bookbrianp.com, and I'll show you the link right now to be able to book it. So you go to bookbrianp.com, and then you could schedule a time with me. And you just put in your information here. Another question is, how much do I have to pay with the worksheet? So worksheet, there's no obligation to the worksheet. The builder's not obligated to give you a unit, and you're not obligated to buy a unit. It's really an expression of interest. And then we submit the worksheet to the builder, and the builder in turn will give us a unit that fits the criteria of the worksheet that you submitted. So it's basically just a space to line up. Like imagine you're in a Black Friday sale, you're paying someone to line up by submitting the worksheet. They use the worksheet to base the contract on. So as soon as you say, yes, you want the unit, they'll take the worksheet, all that information that they need on it will go into the agreement. And you can imagine they're going to be doing 200 of these over a weekend. They need to be really organized. So this is the reason why they do it. Exposure available on both, all selection. When can we submit the worksheet? I would submit it right now. I'll send you the link for it. Will the lake view be blocked and the sea blocked when the other buildings come out? It will be blocked on the south, but you will be able to see the lake on either direction. So if we look here, obviously it's going to be blocked to the south from these buildings here, but the way the site is designed, it comes out. It comes out, so you will be able to see the lake here on the H block. And the lake block, the H block is designed to be angled over JC Saddington to be able to see it. There's enough distance here, setbacks, so you will be able to see the lake over here, and Toronto's down there. But yes, H block, C block is going to be blocked by H block, and H block is going to be blocked by those things facing south. But thank goodness H block is not directly south, it's angled, and there's enough distance between C block and H block that you could see over each other. Yeah, I think I'm seeing a lot of common questions come up. So if you wanted to book a one-on-one with me, go to bookbrianp.com. Again, submit the worksheet and we'll be able to help you get the unit. Thanks so much, and I really appreciate the time. And if you have any questions, I'm always here to help. Take care.